following the yellow brick road and finding Bendyfigs along the way. Here's a look at the brand new Noble Collection Wizard of Oz Bendyfigs toy-electable figures with display stands. Year after year, younger generations fall in love with the classic story of the Wizard of Oz. The story of magic, love, family, and friendship continues to be celebrated across the globe. The Bendyfigs' latest collection of toy electables brings to life the beloved characters in a new way for kids, and the kids at heart. Before we're off to see the wizard, from what I've also heard about this guy, he's the wonderful whiz if ever there whiz there was. A lot of that reputation, I think, is the fact he donates to local schools. Before, though, we get a closer look at the Series 1 lineup of brand new Wizard of Oz Bendyfigs, let me also send out a big thank you to the folks over, perhaps living in Oz, the Noble Collection, who provided all of the Series 1 figures that we could have a look at. The fact that they did also list Series 1 on the back of the packaging. Gotta believe there's probably a Series 2 planned. A Wicked Witch, maybe. Glenda, perhaps. And I hope a bunch of flying monkeys. I would love to get a bunch of flying bendable monkeys. That being said, let's go ahead and grab the ruler here. We're going to put it up to the top of Dorothy here. They're roughly about the same height to one another. You could, yes, say that Scarecrow and the Tin Man are the tallest. But if we're going to stick with, say, Dorothy, she's 7 inches in height, or about 18 centimeters tall. And then we'll go with more of a taller one, going with the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is about a little over 7.5 inches, or about 19.5 centimeters tall. Each one of the Bendyfigs comes included with their character-specific accessories. They also come included with a display stand. What I like about the display stand, first of all, it's the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick. Okay, we'll stop doing that. It's nicely sculpted in a way that you can actually make out each of the individual bricks, and then down below at the bottom of the bricks, you see there's a raised font there. It says Wizard of Oz, complete with the ruby slippers down below. The neat thing about it, though, is not only does it have pegs to support the feet, the holes that are underneath their feet, but each one of these display stands, if you're lucky enough to pick up more than just the one, you'll notice right away that these all interlock. You can take the one that's going next to it and just simply line them all up. So you can actually have all 4 of the characters walking down the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. I think that's a nice touch. And of course, like I said, each one of the display stands, moving these out of the way, all of the figures do have footholes on the undersides of their feet, and you simply just attach those to the pegs. They have done these certainly before with other Bendyfigs, but I think this is one way that kind of incorporates the scene and actually part of the movie as well. Like the yellow brick road is just as iconic as really the rest of the characters. So I love the fact that they found a way to incorporate that into the display stand. Really clever on their part. Looking at Dorothy's accessories, of course, one of the other things that she would have in the movie as well is little tiny Toto. Adorable tiny Toto. Tiny Toto doesn't actually have any bendable frame or anything inside of him. He's basically just a rubberized version of her tiny little dog. You can take the dog and put it into said basket. Just tuck him in there. Make sure he's nice and safe. It's going to be okay, Toto. And then what you can actually do is you can take Toto and you can put it into her hand. Now, the thing about the hand, though, is, well, first of all, this hand, as you can see, is relaxed. This hand here is gripping. So this is the hand that you're going to want to use. I did notice, though, because they're using a rubbery material, it really is a bit of a balancing act to get her to properly hold the basket. If you get it just right, I'm having better success than I was earlier. You can actually see that she's holding the basket in her hand, but you really do have to kind of carefully put it into her hand because, again, like the material that they're using, keeping in mind for these figures, is more of a rubbery material. Let's go ahead and take Toto, little tiny Toto, in a little tiny basket, put that to the side, and also remove her from the display stand. Getting a closer look at Dorothy, a pretty little girl. Her skin is a little off-colored. I mean, that would be one criticism I would certainly make about it, but I do like the finer features on her face. It looks like she does have a smile bit on her face. I don't know if I would say it captures maybe the likeness of Judy Garland. I'm trying to think of the actress's name now. I'm drawing an absolute blank. What was the name of the character that actually... Judy Garland. Thank you for whoever was shouting that out at me. Judy Garland. I would say it doesn't really bear that much of a resemblance to Judy Garland. And again, like the skin tone's a little on the paler side, but at least they've colored off all the other areas, like her hair, for example, is a really nice use of two-tone brown. She also does have her little pigtail bows there as well that match then the coloring of her dress. Being that she's also a smaller frame than perhaps some of the other characters we're about to have a look at, Judy Garland's Dorothy does have a wire frame that actually is successful in her arms. You can actually bend her arms and getting really the full effect of what the bendable frame is inside. You also know it's a wireframe by the fact that there's holes on the back that allows that to breathe. She does have the dress, and of course, down below, no Dorothy would be complete without some ruby slippers. You can see those right there. They've been painted well. And again, she's got the peg holes on the undersides of her feet. I like the look of Dorothy. I would just, if anything, say that she's a bit on the pale side. I'm not really sure why her coloring is so off like that. Just putting her down and hoping that she's going to stay. And you know what? While we're also at it, there you go, Dorothy. We'll just put the basket with little tiny Toto next to you. On to one of my personal favorites from this set is the Tin Woodsman. Now, the Tin Woodsman comes included with 2 accessories. First of all, he comes included with this heart clock. As you can see, the clock has been painted nicely with both hour hand and minute hand in place. And this one does actually have a gold chain. The chain is replicated by using a gold rope. And it's wide enough, at least, that you can then take it. You probably can already see where this is going. We're going to go ahead and take this and fit this around the top of the Tin Woodsman. Just get that over top of his collar like that. Kind of have to get it around the collar. That's the only real thing, the only real problem with it. But once it gets around his nose, you've got yourself the little heart clock. The other thing he comes included with as well is an axe. Now, the axe itself is molded plastic, and it doesn't, of course, have anything that's bendable on it. And you can take that and slide that into his hand, just like that. Getting a closer look at the Tin Woodsman. Apparently one issue that really had plagued the actor that played the Tin Woodsman was the fact that they were using an actual metallic paint that they were putting over top of his. And I think it obviously started causing him lung problems later on in life. Unfortunately, one of the downsides back in the day of in Hollywood producing movies, they would have to find different ways of producing different things. So for example, silver paint, silver makeup on his face. Probably not a good idea now to be using the kind of materials that they used back then. But there's the Tin Woodsman. Really nice look on the face sculpt there. He's got the elongated nose. Kind of looks like a little steam whistle. And of course, he's got the little bolts there on the side that kind of make up the bottom chin piece. Like the look of him quite a bit. I don't think the bendable figure here of the Tin Woodsman suffered as much the fate as the actor. Unfortunately, had to wear all that metallic paint. Now, because he is a little bit more of a bigger frame, you can still bend the arms, just not as well as you could with Dorothy. So you can still bend the arms, you can bring them out. You can do the exact same thing on the other side. Head is going to be a little bit more limited. You turn that just a little bit. But essentially still, he's going to have the wireframe. More in his arms. You can see basically all just follow the places where there's the holes. The 3 holes will tell you where's those wireframes. So it's in the legs. It's obviously in the arms. It doesn't look like there's going to be anything in the body, but I can't imagine you'd be able to do much with the body anyways. So yeah, you can't kind of move his legs forward. You can kind of bring his legs back, so kind of give him a bit of a walking pose. And of course, if you have any issues with standing any one of these figures, simply just rely on the display stand. That's, of course, what it's there for. Yeah, I really like the look of the Tin Woodsman. Easily, he is my favorite from the set. Not to set the bar so high already, but we're going to go ahead and just put him on his display stand. Just got to like the way it looks. On to now the Scarecrow, who, of course, was seeking a brain. His accessory comes included with is the Diploma. Diploma has been painted not only in just the kind of off-white beige color, but also they've painted nicely the bow in the middle there and a little bit of ribbon that sticks out the bottom. Now this fits also into his hand, but it fits only into one of his hands, as the other hand right here, as you can see, is a relaxed hand. This is the gripping hand right here. When I did take this out of the packaging, immediately the Diploma didn't fit right away in his hand. I pried the fingers away and ended up freeing just a little bit of extra paint. Just freeing up a little bit of extra paint right there. But it's more than enough. You can kind of be also a little bit careful, kind of see where the fingers are starting to split. But just carefully taking the Diploma and sliding it into his hand. Just like that. And then he can carry that around with him as well. I don't think I have it completely all the way in. There we go. His head sculpt is also quite good. Paint work that they've done on all these pieces do, again, look like the characters. Maybe, again, like this one doesn't read as much like the actor that would have been in the original Wizard of Oz movie. But I think they've captured, again, most of the checked off boxes. Like the tied off rope that they've got a little lower just below his chin. They've added a nicer wash of a darker yellow just to kind of fill in and add some nice contrasting colors to an otherwise all light, kind of a yellowish beige color that they've got in the face. They also got a little bit of straw strands sticking up from the bottom of the hat, and a little nice touch to detail. Bit of straw there also on the top just to remind you what he's made of. And there's a whole bunch of little opened areas here where you can see the straw is peeking its way out. Tied up rope there in his waist, as well as there on the ends of his hands. And he also has little sewn up patches there on him. He's literally just patched together. Always thought that the Scarecrow was really cool in the movie. Again, he does have the peg holes on the undersides of his feet, so you can put him on his display stand if you want to. We're just going to put him right there. And then the last figure that we're going to be looking at from the Wizard of Oz Bendyfigs Series 1 is, of course, the Cowardly Lion. Perhaps not cowardly anymore. He does get himself the Courage Medal. The Courage Medal not only is painted and sculpted well, but it does also clip onto him. If you look around to the back here, there's a little peg on the back. Now, unfortunately, though, while doing this the only couple of times that I have, already paint has flaked off a little bit. It looks like they are using still a gold plastic underneath, but then painting over top of it. You can see already a little bit of some of the flakes have chipped off. Anyways, we can go ahead and take the Cowardly Lion, follow the hole right there, and that would be the place, of course, where you're going to take the gold medal. I can't imagine this is going to hurt him all that much, says the guy that doesn't actually have to have that pinned onto his torso. But that's what it looks like when you pinned it onto the Cowardly Lion. His head sculpt, again, is quite good. Got to think he's full of courage. It's a terrible impression of the Cowardly Lion. Full mane, as you can see. I do like the way that they've painted the mouth there, so it does look, not only that they could have just not sculpted it, but adding that little extra line does make it look like you can see now much clearer, further away. You can see where that mouth would have been able to open. The paint on him is, again, really good on all of these, down to the fact that you can see his crystal eyes, crystal blue eyes, with a little bit of reflection light painted in there as well. A little bow is on the top, of course, like he has in the movie. And again, you spin this around. What's interesting about his outfit is it actually does look like it's a fabric material. Kind of think that's neat the way they've done that. The tail isn't wire framed. This is just a rubbery material. But again, following the holes on the legs, the arms and stuff will kind of tell you exactly what the things that can be bent on these figures. Like, for example, his arms. And as well, like his legs. Again, you can bring those legs back and forth. I mean, I would love to be able to have them in all walking poses so it actually looks like they're following the yellow brick road and actually walking. But I don't think you'd be able to actually... Well, you might be able to get one of the feet maybe put on there. But yeah, you can already see sort of one of the issues that's going to be played with that. If you have them leaning forward a little bit, they may run the risk of falling forward. So for that, I might actually just use both the peg holes, attach the figures to the display stands. And again, being that you can actually then take all the display stands, which I guess we can go ahead and do right now. Take the Scarecrow, plug him in place, and we can go ahead and connect him then to the Cowardly Lion. Line those up, line up the Tin Woodsman, and then the last thing, of course, just going to take Dorothy. Take the Dorothy, attach it to the display stand. And so again, clever on Noble Collections' part when they made these Bendyfigs. All the Bendyfigs that we've looked at in the past have had display stands, but no clever of a use, I feel, of incorporating the movie itself, where they actually did take stands that were relevant to the movie and making it into a yellow brick road that not only on its own looks good, but the fact that you can connect them all together, it gives you one giant scene with all the four characters walking towards the wizard. Whether the wizard will be able to grant their wishes, that certainly is time will tell, but I love the idea that they've been able to do something like this, giving us all the four characters, the four adventurers on their way to the wizard, and giving them all character-specific accessories. Again, the idea that we are getting this advertised as Series 1, gotta believe, gotta hope at least, that the Noble Collection are planning a Series 2. Flying monkeys, please. Flying monkeys, please. And, of course, the Wicked Witch. I would love to get a Wicked Witch done in this type of material. Bendable figures, for the most part, yes. I think Dorothy benefits the most from having the bendable frame just because her arms are a little bit more skinnier. But being at least that these characters have thinner arms, you can actually move their arms quite well. Just really love what they've done to these. And if you're a big fan of The Wizard of Oz, definitely will want to be picking these up and adding them to your collection. I couldn't even begin to tell you guys how many times I've seen the Wizard of Oz film. I think my earliest memory of seeing the flick was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and I just remember being terrified of the Wicked Witch, not to mention the flying monkeys. I feel like I was probably more scared of the flying monkeys actually than I was scared of the Wicked Witch. That is, of course, until she's splashed with water. Why would you keep a bucket of water so close to the proximity of somebody that actually can, I guess, just disintegrate, right? Because she was melting by water. I think I would right away, if I was first of all the Wicked Witch, I would be banning water in my lair, my castle, right? Because if that's the thing that's going to kill me, why am I making it so readily available for somebody to use in my castle? I'd be probably cleaning the floors with something else other than water. There, of course, was the follow-up film Return to Oz, and for obvious reason, they couldn't bring back Judy Garland, a little too old by now to be playing Dorothy. You want to talk scary movies also? Watch The Return to Oz. Just a terrifying film. Of course, Wizard of Oz has been translated into several different mediums, books, comics, different cartoons as well. Not to mention, of course, one of my favorite cartoons growing up was the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, where 3 sad souls, oh me, oh my, no brain, no heart, he's much too shy. Classic cartoon. Translated now here as a bendable figure is the ones that are produced here from the Noble Collection. For the first wave, of course, we get Dorothy and the other 3 travelers on their way to see the Wizard of Oz, because one has no brain, no heart, and the other one is much too shy. And of course, they're all awarded here in their bendable figures because each one of them get their their gift from the wizard, the diploma, the heart clock, and of course the medal that Cowardly Lion has to unfortunately just pin to his torso. You got to think that would be painful. Each one of the figures also have an interlocking display stand. Clever use of the display stand by being able to incorporate the Yellow Brick Road. I only have 3 of the pieces right now. 4 pieces would just be overlapping my turntable, and probably some of the figures would be falling off. So we're using 3 for the time being, but at least you get the idea. And Dorothy as well, not to mention, no slack to Dorothy. She actually comes included with the basket and Toto. Love the fact that they actually included Toto. Now, this is Series 1. So I'm just, again, thinking, what are they going to do for Series 2? A Glenda, the Good Witch, maybe the Wicked Witch, for obvious reason they're going to do the Wicked Witch. And I hope we get a Flying Monkey. They probably could also do a couple of Munchkins. Would you be able to still do, is that something we can still do, Munchkins? I hope so. Or you could, of course, do the obvious one. Is the Wizard of Oz. I mean, that probably the Wizard, Glenda, Wicked Witch, Flying Monkeys. That's what I'm guessing that they're probably going to be doing for Series 2. What do you guys think, though? Let me know down below in the comments section. Are you guys digging these new Bendyfigs of the Wizard of Oz? And do you remember actually even growing up and seeing? When was the first time? When was the first time you guys even saw the Wizard of Oz? Let me know down below in the comments section. Big thank you, though, to the folks over at the Noble Collection Toys that did, in fact, provide the Series 1 of Wizard of Oz Bendyfigs that we could have a look at here on this channel. For your video question for today, if you were off to see the wizard, what would you be asking him for? Let me know down below in the comment section. And hey, now, if you are new to this channel, you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notification so, yes, you're getting those friendly reminders of whenever new videos are going to be popping up. And keep your peepers peeled to this channel while we aren't going to be taking any trips to the wizard. Not that I'm aware of, at least. I'm just checking to producer Tony. No, he says there's no budget to be going to see the wizard. I don't even think he really knew what I was talking about anyways. While we aren't going to be seeing the wizard anytime soon, checking the balance and the budget, we're going to see if that's possible. Certainly, though, keep your peepers peeled because there's definitely going to be a lot more videos coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.